Nolan Stoltz here, the composer of the Route 66 suite, and I'm in Illinois getting inspiration for the opening movement of the suite, which I will title AD 1926. To do that, I'm taking pictures and video along the original alignment of Route 66, that is, 1926. This picture is not the original road. They put the begin sign on the post-1955 alignment, and it's not the beginning. The beginning is actually here, Jackson in Michigan, but you'll see the do not enter signs. That's because Jackson is one-way eastbound. So the footage in the beginning of this video will be taken outside of the car, and later in the video you'll see footage from the driver's seat. In part 3 of my Route 66 in Chicago video series, I showed this great neon sign from the Central Camera Company. I looked for businesses and buildings that would have existed on or near Route 66 in 1926. And as you can see in this photo, the Central Camera Company is only about 120 feet north of Route 66. And here's an example of a period building, built in 1910, gives the flavor of early 66, as does Lou Mitchell's, as he was established 3 years before. Check out the neon and the flashing bulbed lights around the sign. Further west down Jackson is Greektown, where you'll find the Athenian Candle Company and this great neon sign. I've never seen it lit in person, though. Here's the building, and then I'm going to pan looking west, and you can see it in the evening. A mile west of there, just before 66 turns onto Ogden Avenue, you'll come across the Hotel Chicago. This used to be the Rosemoor Hotel, a period hotel, so an early Route 66 lodging. As you travel down Ogden, you'll pass the Douglas Park Auditorium, perhaps inspiration for the Show Will Go On movement, and then the John J. Murphy gas station, dating back to 1925, so plays into the AD 1926. This won't be one of my 26 gas stations, though. Further down Ogden Ave, in Berwyn, you see this place, established 1919. And then there's a little bit that goes through Lyons that only went there through 1926 to 28, possibly to 29 or 30. Lesser known alignment of Route 66. And here is an abandoned portion of 66 in McCook. And then in Romeoville, I had dinner at the White Fence Farm, a place that dates back before Route 66. We continue on Original 66 through Joliet and past the Rialto Square Theater, dating back to 1926, so we've got inspiration for AD 1926, and the show will go on. In Wilmington, we see the Eagle Hotel, the oldest commercial building on Route 66. It's closed as a hotel, so instead, I stayed in this 1895 house, it's an Airbnb, to get that flavor of early 66. Now let's take a little drive on Original 66 through Gardner, Illinois. I pay attention to the width of the road and look at houses that are of the period. Of course, there's newer buildings and newer cars and everything, but I still like to put myself in the space of a 1926 traveler. Route 66 originally went straight here, so we're going to have to detour around. I'll make a little edit, and we'll continue along on the other side. Next up is Dwight, Illinois, We're on McNamara Avenue, and if we were to head straight following the railroad tracks, we'd head right into downtown. But Route 66, even the original version, bypassed the downtown area and curved right onto Walpansee Street. There are no Route 66 signs indicating this, but the original route turned left, and sometime, I would guess 1930 into sometime in the 40s, it continued straight and then curved, a further bypass around Dwight. But we will head on the original version by turning left onto Washington Street. We're coming up on the main east-west street in Dwight. To the right, you'll find a beautifully restored gas station. It'll become one of my 26 gas stations, but this trip I'm focusing on 1926, and that's on the second generation of 66. Before we continue on original 66, we're going to head into downtown Dwight, go to the paper. I need to pick up a physical copy because they did an article on the Route 66 suite. There's plenty of history in downtown Dwight, such as the Livingston Hotel. In a way, it's inspiration for the lodging-based movement, but not really, because it was more a lodging for the folks staying in the hospital. So we'll continue down original 66 through Dwight. Next town is Odell, and again we are on original 66, and this is a lesser known alignment. I just had lunch in Pontiac, Illinois, the old log cabin. This dates back to 1926 when Route 66 first came through. 66 usually used to be behind the building, and then when they realigned it, they literally turn it around. Yeah, so it's pretty cool to have lunch at a place that's been here since the beginning. Based on the research of Carl Johnson, Jim Ross's Deep Track says this would have likely been Route 66 in 1926. On the left there is the Daily Leader, Pontiac's newspaper. I'm going to make a quick stop there and do an interview. By the time I made this video, the article was published and picked up by Yahoo News. I also camp along the way because many travelers in 1926 would have done that. Just off of Route 66 in downtown Pontiac is the Crescent Theater, which predates 66 by 5 years. So I'm not just getting inspiration for AD 1926, but also for the final movement of the suite, the show will go on, because I'm here to see a movie as well. One of the things about old theaters that I would like to evoke in the music is the animated bulbs that one sees. So we'll go around the square by turning right on Washington Street. And that's looking up Washington Street, as is this. Notice it's one-way eastbound, so we can't actually drive that way. And after 4 more turns, we end up on Ladd Street. And next up is Chenoa. Even this early 66 bypasses the older part of the town, which is just to the left here. And I better detour around, but as you can see, 66 originally kept heading this way, following the railroad tracks. Original 66 continues through the ghost town of Ballard. If you'd like to know more about that place, check out my Patreon video titled Ballard, Illinois, a Route 66 Ghost Town. Being back here among the trees really makes me think of that movement, so perhaps this is not just inspiration for AD 1926, but also among the trees. And here is a little video from the Route 66 Suite Facebook page showing the original route in Bloomington. And I'm in downtown Bloomington, Illinois, and behind me, that's Route 66, dating back to 1926. Now behind me over here, this is the Bloomington Center for the Performing Arts, and according to their website, 1921 it dates back to. So it was only 5 years old when Route 66 came through. Now this road over here, East Street, that didn't exist at the time. So basically, this was just off of Route 66 at the time. This is where the Illinois Symphony plays. They split their dates between here in Bloomington and Springfield. Main Street is one-way northbound, so one can only travel original 66 eastbound by car. So instead, I'll share some pictures in an order that represents traveling westbound. We come to Market Street, and 150 feet to our left is the old Chatterton Opera House, dating back to 1910. By the time Route 66 came through, it had become the Illinois Theater. This inspires both AD 1926 and The Show Will Go On. A block and a half south along 66 on our right is the former Phoenix Hotel, dating back to 1902. It was later renamed Mid-City Hotel, but in 1926 it was still the Phoenix. The next street is Jefferson, and one block to the right is the old Illinois Hotel, dating back to 1901. These hotels inspired the lodging-based movement, which I don't have a title for yet. The next street up is Washington, and a block and a half to the left is the old Castle Theater, dating back to 1916. More inspiration for AD 1926 and the show will go on. We leave downtown Bloomington and head into a residential neighborhood on Oakland Avenue. We'll start here on part 2 of AD 1926 in Illinois. If you'd like to see more that's inspiring Route 66 Suite, subscribe to my Patreon at patreon.com/Route66Suite. Thank you.